Guess who it is? It's your favorite film buddies, the Cinema Night Podcast, back for the latest episode Thursday evening. As always, we're going to talk about Blow. Does it hold up? That's what we do every week on this damn show. 2001 film, selected by Eric Branstrom. One of the yes, Eric Branstrom is huffing. He's hoovering. That's how you do it. Well done. Oh. Eric Branch, Travis Roy, Michael Govier, all here live. Don't forget Cinema9Pod at ProtonMail.com, and we would love a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts if you like the show. It only helps us grow and learn from our mistakes. The more we grow, the better we get. That's a fact. Right, Travis?
I don't know. It sounds like some made-up bullshit to me.
Yeah.
Fuck me running.
Bobcat Goldthwait bullshit? Yeah, probably.
Oh, too bad he's only in one scene. What a loss for that film that he's just in. It's one great scene, but it's still one scene.
He's fantastic. I mean, who doesn't love this thing?
Fuck me running.
I can listen to it all day.
All right. It's a great quote.
It is. Most people prefer I can't feel my face, but I like fuck
me running.
It's just a stupid line.
Oh, I've used it for years. Encounter with Bobcat Goldthwait in a Chicago, Illinois bathroom, right?
Just kind of like a Paul Rubens kind of thing?
No, this is an actual fan encounter where I met him, and it was unbelievable.
What happened?
What unbelievable thing took place between you and Bobcat in this bathroom?
Yeah.
I said, hi, Bobcat. I loved Willow Creek. And he said, thanks, man. Shook my hand. That was it.
Oh, well, I believe that.
It didn't have to be weird.
Great. No, it's not weird.
It didn't have to be like all...
Yeah, he hasn't talked like that in like 20, 30 years.
Yeah, he's not a fan of that.
Yeah. But yeah, I watched Willow Creek last week, actually. It wasn't bad.
Yeah. Oh.
What did you have? A few drinks this morning? Huh? I think you did, didn't you?
Mike Starr. I didn't know that my entire life until like 2 years ago. The clown.
Mike Starr. Yeah.
What? Right. That's Mike Starr?
Oh shit.
Yeah, you didn't know that? What are you, mother? You never touched the stuff?
Oh yeah. I knew that.
Oh, I did not know that. I'm actually genuinely impressed by that because I was just talking about Mike Starr on the Is It Safe pod for some reason last week, and we were talking about him. Actually, last night we talked about it. No, on the baseball pod because we had this great guest on who loved movies, and Deary was talking about how great the Cinema 9 pod is, and so we started talking about Mike Starr.
Naturally. Who doesn't love Mike Starr? Who doesn't want to listen to a podcast where we discuss the work of Mike Starr? I mean, he's more than Dumb and Dumber.
Get out of here.
Actually, it was because that's what it was. Someone brought up what was your favorite like comfort movie, the movie you just go to zone out, and he said Dumb and Dumber, and that's what alluded to the conversation. Well done, Travis.
All right. Well, my favorite Mike Starr performance is Miller's Crossing, personally. So cheers to Mike Starr.
Goodfellas.
Ed Wood. No one wants to see this piece of shit.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've never seen Ed Wood actually. So.
Whoa.
Yeah, it just wasn't. I mean. It got a lot of hubbub, and people said, "Yeah, woohoo, yippee!" Martin Landau won an Academy Award, which is bullshit because Samuel L. Jackson should have won. But
speechless,
dude, you should watch this fucking movie before you sit here and judge it. It's a pretty great movie.
Top 5
I don't think it's a bad. It's one of your top 5 favorite movies.
Yeah, easily.
It always has been. He's talked it up for years. I mean,
he has. He loves Burton at his height.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Burton
and Ed Wood's a real guy. Johnny Depp's a real guy.
He's a real guy. This is all correct.
These are real people, and Johnny Depp's going to be a part of the Blow conversation today.
Yeah, George Young was a real guy.
Check him out. There he is.
Yeah. R.I.P. George Young. Did you know that he had recently died when you chose this last week?
No,
like he died within days.
It was a pure 100% bullshit. Great coincidence.
Huh.
You're shitting me.
Huh.
I'm dead serious.
Seems fortuitous.
It is fortuitous.
Well, for those of you that check out our Cinema 9 Pod Twitter feed, I just had to mention every week Travis puts in another dumb picture that is mentioned randomly at random. It could be anything from anything in the podcast.
We've never discussed this before, on camera or off. Like I've been doing this every week, and you've never brought it up.
It's a very dedicated effort, and this week's picture is Kiefer Sutherland from Freeway, which is just really horrifying. So
last week, yeah.
Really
I'll change it tomorrow. I'm sure.
I can't wait. Who knows? Who knows what it'll be?
It is. It's always something that we randomly mention.
It is a reference from each episode. That is true. So.
And it's never like a good movie. It's never like, oh look, there's I don't know, someone awesome. No, it's always like some bozo picture.
Why would it be? I mean, can't keep a good man down. Why stop a good thing in his tracks? So that sounds great to me. So the Twitter feed's always fun. You can interact with us. There's a Facebook page. There's the Instagram page. I mean, Travis is doing things. Travis, how are you, though? You didn't really tell us officially. You have to tell us how you are every week. It's a prerequisite of the show.
Fucking tired of running this Instagram account. I'm like, oh man, like it's gotten like every other day, like maybe I'm like, it's like, to do a good post, it could take 20-30 minutes to get all that, research and all that. So I'm like a little tired of that. But for those of you listening, check us out on Facebook. Even if this is a future episode, we do every so often have a little contest where we where people that follow us on Facebook can play along and like do a process of selection to help us pick which movie we're going to talk about. And we're doing that right now. So follow us on Facebook if you're not already following us on Facebook. And I'm not going to
running.
Yeah, don't do a lot of work over there, but follow us if you want to play. If you want to play the game.
Play the game, Harding.
Play the game, Harding.
There's a lot of great movies in the running for a couple weeks from now, Michael. Let It Ride, Big, The Burbs, some real classic. Rain Man. I'm excited to see how this turns out.
Wow. That's going to be interesting. I'm excited to hear what you guys have been watching. So why don't we get into our quarantine viewing picks, Travis? I got to know what you've been diving into. We still stuck in the 70s?
Why are we only talking about me? How are you guys doing?
Oh, well, Eric doesn't really tell us that. You're the one who always tells us. Eric will say some nonsense about something, and then I'll say, hey, yeah, great. This is a good show. I think that's basically the routine, isn't it?
Is that true, Eric? Do you want to talk about how you're doing?
Eric, please.
Blazing past you?
I was going to ask you, Travis, if that that victim came back to your house that was almost murdered. Would be kind of glossed over?
I don't know that he was a victim or not, but I'll tell you this. I mowed my lawn this morning, and I was uninterrupted.
Fantastic news.
Does that spell his death? I don't know. He may have just been sleeping in. I did it really early in the morning.
I have a feeling you won't see that guy again. These the interactions, they come and go, and they last forever, but you don't always get a repeat viewing. So cherish what you had.
They last forever? Is this like a time as a flat circle thing? What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, shit. Flat
These interactions last forever.
Roscoe Lincoln. Actually, side note, in the First Day Podcast book club, which we do every Monday night for the First Day Podcast, we did Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. We just finished it, and I actually really enjoyed it. So I want to. He is an actor, and he talks about his movie career in it, but he also has thoughts and opinions and views about his life, of course, because he pontificates as he's prone to do. But it's actually not like self-involved and douchey. It's really great to listen to as an audiobook too, because he does it and he's great. It's perfect.
Did he record the audio like while he was driving a Lincoln around, just like talking out loud to himself?
There it is. That joke writes itself.
Playing a bongo, reaching out, hitting a bongo every now and then. I will tell you this. I love him.
He mentions the bongo story and he talks about it in great detail. So it's a lot of fun. He like goes into what actually happened, and it's awesome. Fantastic. And he does not deny the Lincoln experience either. He's like, yeah, that happened. I made money.
I don't judge him for making money. I don't judge him for smoking weed and playing bongos in his naked in his own yard. That's who fucking cares. I love McConaughey. I'm never gonna read that book, but I love him and I love weed.
Is the McConaissance over? I mean, that was one of the great stretches of all time.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, I'd say we kind of fizzled out with what was that boat movie he did that we all turned off? The Harmony Korine one. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's right about with the death knell of that
and
shit.
Serenity. Did you guys see Serenity? That was trash too. So.
Serenity.
From what I understand, the murderer turned out to be a shark.
It's not far off from the truth. Yeah, not far. It doesn't matter. That movie sucks. I doubt you would like it. It came out in 2019. It was right the same year as The Beach Bum, which was terrible. I watched The Beach Bum. It's fucking awful.
Wasn't this like the Firefox or Firefly movie, Serenity, or like? It's a sci-fi thing. I'm reaching on a sci-fi thing. I clearly know very little about.
Firefly.
You don't even remember, but it had Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. There's like legit actors in it, but nobody cares. And this only came out 2 years ago. So that point is made really by the fact that nobody really even went right over everybody's head. But yes, the McConaissance is over because it was like a period of time. It was. It was a moment.
But all moments last forever is the whole point. So
they do. Well, yes, that's true. But but just like the guy who's no longer in your front yard talking to you, that moment is over. But it does last in your mind and can last in our hearts forever.
The McConaissance wasn't real. We only think that it was.
I think that was very real. There was a hot moment there where he was doing some good shit.
Absolutely.
Mud and True Detective and
Man, Russ Cole,
Killer
a great
Joe,
character.
and he was doing some really great stuff. The
Interstellar?
Dallas Buyers Club is fantastic.
Of course.
Interstellar, yeah, I mean, he had a real
That's
good
the
run there.
apex.
I believe
The
now
Buyers
he's a
Club is-
2D Doritos character, if I'm remembering this right from the headlines.
What?
It's probably
I don't
true.
even know. What does this even mean? Are we
I
speaking
don't
English
know.
right now?
It's a Super Bowl commercial. He's like 2D, like walking around selling Doritos. It's
Oh
fucking
yeah,
stupid.
yeah. It was dumb. It was true though. That did happen. He's not lying, and he's not mistaking because McConaughey has that fun factor. People still love him, even though he had that renaissance, the McConaissance, which was intentional, which he talks about in the book too. It's so cool. He purposely
overrated.
said, "Let's get out of the romantic comedy thing," and actually, he says this in the book. $14 million he turned down for a month shoot. $14 million on a stupid ass rom com for a month's worth of work.
Well, if
That's what
he'd
he
done
said.
that shit, maybe he wouldn't be doing Doritos commercials right now.
Michael, come on now. Well, you talk
said.
about the reconnaissance, but in my personal opinion, in 96, you get A Time to Kill. He's fucking great in it. In Contact from 97, I fucking love Contact, and he was fucking fantastic in it in a serious role. He's always been a
Yeah.
great dramatic actor.
Yeah, but he's had ebbs and flows, I would say, personally.
That was like the beginning. Yeah, you know, he comes
13
on the scene.
Conversations About One Thing, also
Yeah.
fantastic.
Lone Star.
Oh, yeah,
underrated,
classic.
so.
Yeah, John Sayles, right?
Well, let's get into it though. We're talking
Oh, yeah.
movies, so let's hear it.
Let's
Travis,
talk about
tell us
other
what you've
movies.
been watching. All right, by the way, Eric, are you okay though? Did you get to express yourself? Or
I'm
Are you okay?
doing great. Thank you very much from Griffith,
Yay!
Indiana. Let's just keep it going.
Right.
Fuck me running.
So I didn't have a great week for watching movies. This is my last week of vacation, and so I had like all this time to watch extra movies, and most of them weren't very good. I just had a bad run here. I did, man. I even turned one or two off, but thanks to Steve Paulo, good guest host on recently, he recommended Stephanie from 2017. Did you watch it, Eric? Oh, no. Okay, he's shaking his head for those that are not watching.
shaking your head no.
Yeah, it was definitely worth catching. It's a pretty strong film. Differently done kind of horror movie. I liked it. I watched a Medea family reunion, guys.
You did it! Yeah,
First
I did.
Medea film of the podcast.
I sent you guys a pic of me and Medea, and the main thing I learned from it is that I learned two things. One is it's pronounced Medea, not Medea, and two is like it's heavy drama. I'm not kidding. It's fucking heavy domestic abuse drama, like serious shit. And then fucking Big Mama's house blows in every now and then with some folksy witticisms. It's so weird. It was so
Fuck
fucking
me
weird.
running.
Fuck me
Wow.
running.
What is Medea? Is it like supposed to be like an old grandma that's sassy, or is it like
Yeah, like I mean, like it's in the classic kind of Eddie Murphy tradition. You have like one comedic actor playing multiple roles, and here you have Tyler Perry playing like himself, who's like not like himself, but like like he's not wearing costume, mask and shit. He's got some other name as like the son of Medea and the father, who he also plays the father, and he plays Medea, and that's it. He just plays them three.
Wow, that's I didn't know that. I did not know that.
I would not recommend it, but I felt I felt wiser for the experience.
I've been thinking about that, Travis, real quickly. To
go
that
ahead.
point, we recommend movies too, but I also think in this segment we also recommend movies you should probably avoid, which I think is just as important. I think it's
Well, then-
useful. So
In that case, don't bother watching Those Who Wish Me Dead. Also starring Tyler Perry in the weirdest little cameo, that most unnecessary cameo I can think of. I love Taylor Sheridan, who's been doing great stuff. I was kind of excited for this movie, but like this was extremely predictable and tedious. Like it was just kind of slow. It wasn't terrible, but like I mean, I would not recommend it. I watched another one called It Cuts Deep, a black comedy from last year, one of the worst movies I've seen in a while. I watched Ingrid Goes West from 2017. I fucking hated it. I hated it so much. Didn't have a lot of good luck. Okay, let me tell you some movies I did watch that were good. I watched Fright Night for like the millionth time.
hey!
At Aaron Chudpud Worley's recommendation, I watched Psycho Gorman, which I don't particularly, I mean, I like the movie, but I don't particularly like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But if you like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, imagine Mighty Morphin Power Rangers like on acid with a lot more gore, and you have Psycho Gorman. Yeah, you know, I watched the Heartbreak Kid and didn't care for it. The original Heartbreak Kid, I felt really bad because like I wanted to like Charles Grodin, you know, like, but I just didn't really care for it. But I did watch this documentary. Have you guys seen this documentary called Care-Actor, like Care bullet point bullet point Tur from 2009? You guys are both love it. It's streaming for free on Vudu.
I'm there.
It is Dabney Coleman kind of bumbling around talking to like his old buddies, having like kind of like maybe a little bit drunken but very familiar conversations with some of his best friends, like Sidney Pollack right before he died, and Peter Falk shortly before he died, and Harry Dean Stanton, and there's someone else big too who I'm forgetting right now. But it's just like I forget the other person. Oh, Charles Grodin. Fuck yeah, and Charles Grodin. So it's like these really like serious but like fun conversations about the craft and about their history and about like when they went to school, like acting school and stuff. It was really cool. If you like acting and actors and stuff, I definitely would recommend Character. And you know what really surprised me this week was Greenland from 2020. I was watching. Did you watch it too?
I heard it's good.
You know, I was bashing Knowing recently for being like, you know, the classic people getting destroyed kind of movie. And this is like a disaster movie, but like, you know, kind of like Deep Impact, only with a lot better budget probably, or like newer special effects. And this movie had a real heart to it. Like it was not just fucking stupid, like the explosions. It was like there was like a genuine like heart to the story. Like I was emotionally involved in the characters and what they were doing. And on top of that, like it was extremely, I felt like, I mean, like I know there was huge scientific plot holes in this movie. Like I'm aware of that, but like in terms of how it was presented, they did a pretty good job of making it feel like us, like going from like, oh, hey, like there might be a meteor passing by soon. And like slowly it like escalates and becomes more and more of a reality that everyone's dealing with. And then it's like, hey, everything's fucking, the whole world's about to collapse. And we got to deal with this. You know, I like these kind of movies when they're done well, like Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. So I would definitely recommend Greenland. It was actually pretty good. I watched a bunch of others, but I can't mention them all.
Damn, you said it was a slow movie week or just a bad movie week?
The bad week. Johnny Depp, when he was good. You guys talking 21 Jump Street and Nightmare on Elm Street? All the Depp Streets. No, Russell, we'll probably talk about Blow, but yeah, we could probably mention his career.
21 Dump Street.
21.
I will say this.
Both of them.
I was reading recently, because, you know, today in preparation for the podcast, an interview with Carl Young. I keep wanting to call him Carl Young. Big difference. George Young. He didn't want Depp to play him because he's like, he played a fucking narc on 21 Jump Street, and I don't want a narc playing me. And he also was like, he played an androgynous barber in Edward Scissorhands, and so he was slow to come on board.
That's
a direct quote. Androgynous barber.
Fuck this guy. Fuck George Young. Here he is right behind me. Fuck that guy. Fuck you. Eric Brandstrom, tell us where you been. Take us into your cinema journey this week.
Michael and Travis, it's the last week of school for me too. So I've been like doing a lot of grading and a lot of schoolwork. So it's been a little bit of a slow week, but that hasn't stopped me from watching some films. I checked back in with Galaxy Quest. It's been since it came out. I remember loving this when it was released. So fresh and funny. It's all right. It's still got a couple of chuckles out of me. I'm not sure when the last time you saw it is, but I don't know. That varnish may have worn off a little bit. Sam Rockwell's still very funny in it, but I'm watching it. I'm looking at Sigourney Weaver. I'm like, you know what? This is a really unique actress here. I'm going through the filmography. And it dawns on me. And if you thought my admission that I'd never seen Die Hard was bad, this is going to be worse. I'd never seen Aliens, the Jim Cameron sequel to Alien.
Well, you should watch it.
Yeah, I watched it, and like just like I said about Die Hard, it was fucking unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was watching and how I had missed it for so many. It was like not knowing like my father my whole life. Like that was like I missed this for like 35 years. It was one of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm really happy that I finally saw that. It was so good.
Running.
What's the is it Vasquez? What's the Latina lady's name?
I think that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a confused individual because growing up, I had like the hardest of hardcore crushes on Vasquez. I just thought she was the most beautiful woman ever. I don't know where. Didn't pan out for me. We never got together.
I'm so sorry.
Didn't work
That's
out?
tragic. So. I never seen it, so I mean, I don't do that
Oh.
shit either. So I wasn't that motivated. I mean, there's
Fucking
a
awesome.
line for me with sci-fi, I suppose. So Star Wars is legendary. That's easy. But I saw Alien, of course. I've seen Alien, but I've never seen any of the rest of the franchise.
I mean, as far as sequels goes, I'd say it's one of the best sequels. Like, I mean, like
Wow.
it's fantastic. I mean, Alien 1 is fucking amazing. Aliens is it's fantastic. I mean, it's so good.
There's no
it's
reason
really
for me
great.
not to watch it. I liked Alien.
It's
so
one
I
of the best
should've
action.
continued.
One of the best action movies from the era.
Yeah, it's like the best like team on a mission like movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh yeah, it's good for that.
So you know, speaking of like space and missions, I checked in with High Life, this movie from a few years ago, Claire Denis film, Robert Pattinson. I'm like, this has all the elements I'm looking for. Slow burn, like independent. Bob Patterson. It's fucking so boring. I turned it off. I mean, there's boring, and then there's like just like nothing is happening. Like, why is this a movie? Like, terrible.
I heard bad things.
Yeah.
No, that's unfortunate.
not
Sorry to
good.
hear that.
Russell Withers checking back in. That chick is a Jim Cameron
Oh.
favorite. That chick is a Jim Cameron favorite, in case you did not know. She's also the woman who kills John's foster parents. Oh, Vasquez. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the foster
yeah.
mom.
Yeah, she was in something else that we talked about recently on the show too. I feel like
She's probably still alive. I'll guess
Yeah,
that.
man.
She's
she,
alive.
she
she's
is
fine.
alive and well. She was also in Near Dark, Fear and Loathing in
Yeah.
Las Vegas. She's been working.
Yeah,
she
she
Whoopi's
plays
just
the maid.
fine.
She plays the maid. It's
There you
hilarious.
go.
Jeanette Goldstein. I don't know if
That
that's
sounds
what-
right.
Oh, that doesn't
I
sound
fear
Latina.
nothing. I fear nothing. Hilarious.
Good call, Russell. So, you know, I'd never seen the Larry Sanders show, and I decided
Oh!
to check in with that. I remember hearing about it all throughout the 90s. Like, there's nothing like that before, like a single camera sitcom, and, you know, little dated. I don't know when the last time you guys checked in, but a little
Fucking
dated.
kidding me? It's
What?
one of my favorite shows of all
This-
time,
this
and I
is
watch
like-
it often.
yeah.
So.
This is like Mike's favorite show ever. So
It's true. It's up there. I'm a huge fan, and finding it on DVD in the 2000s was very hard for a while. But now it's been streaming, and it's much easier to access.
have you thought about getting a picture of Gary Shanley's lips like tattooed on your body?
That'd be awesome.
I mean,
I'd
you're a
be
big
interested in
fan.
that.
Just get like his lips tattooed on you.
Oh shit! Look who's here! Hey, it's our
There it
favorite
is.
yeller. It's our favorite, most
shit.
passionate guest host /
Luke Horvath.
fan.
Chime
Hey,
in, hey,
Luke.
buddy.
Oh shit! I don't know what
Luke,
that means, but thank
Were
you.
you attracted to Vasquez?
I bet he was. But so it's there's no Curb Your Enthusiasm without Larry Sanders. I will say
It's
that.
true. Yeah, it's true. You know, other than that, I fell back into the rabbit hole. I watched like 10 pro wrestling documentaries.
Which ones are left?
Fucked. I just ate all of them. Iron Cheek.
Which ones are left?
So
Iron
many. It's
Sheik.
not even funny. I don't know what to do. I'm seriously thinking about seeking help. I can't stop.
It's okay if you enjoy it. Don't take it that far, okay? Don't take
Yeah.
it that far.
That's it,
just
Mike.
enjoy it. Just enjoy
That's it.
yourself.
What about what do you got?
Oh man, I am loving going deep into this like 80s indies. It's great, I kind of feel like the Falcon and the Snowman, but maybe not necessarily an indie, but it's not a mainstream, big hit either. So it's a weird area. Maybe it's like lesser known 80s films that have some legitimate people who go on to things. So the first one I'd never seen, and Luke already made fun of me on the Is It Safe Pod the other day. He's like, "Oh, everyone knows that." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'd never seen it." It's called River's Edge. I
Oh my
never saw
God.
this.
Mike-
And this is a
yeah,
fantastic film.
I wanted to bring this to the show like so many times. I just kept forgetting about it.
Kevin Bacon as a villain, I believe, right?
It's
No, this is
Crispin
a-
Glover in. Oh my God, it's so fucking
What am I
good.
thinking of?
Keanu
It's
Reeves,
Keanu Reeves, Crispin Glover.
Oh, I've never seen this. I was thinking of a River Wild or something.
Daniel
like that.
Roebuck.
Yeah,
So fucking
you were
good,
River
Mike.
Wild. That's exactly what you were thinking.
Yeah.
Of. Kevin
I-
Bacon, Meryl
Yeah, I've
Streep.
never seen this. I should watch it, huh?
Oh man, I thought it was incredible. It was a really good film. It's loaded with youngsters. Obviously it's like one of Keanu's first roles. It's about high school, but it's so honestly well done. And I'll just say this, in the way that it portrays how people act differently in front of different people in real life. You don't see that in movies very often, but people do change their demeanors depending on who's in front of them. And it's just really good. Daniel Roebuck, the guy who you would know
Late
The
Shift.
Fugitive. I think
Late Shift.
Late Shift, yeah. I think him from The Fugitive. He's one of the cronies that are trying to hunt down fucking Richard. So it's a great movie. I really want to strongly recommend it. River's Edge. I don't know if this guy, Tim Hunter, who directed it, I don't know if he went on to much other stuff, but this is worth it. I think it pissed me off and it made me feel things. So good job, River's Edge. And then I got to get the list. Sorry. Always have my list, Travis. That's right.
Good man.
Important. I had House of Games. I never saw House of Games, David Mamet's earlier work, which is a 1987 film written and directed by Mr. Mamet, and it's in the Criterion Collection. So I was like, well, people must respect this film. Joe Mantegna, really early Joe Mantegna, and the lead woman is super short-haired, and I recognized her face, but I could not pinpoint her in
Rebecca
anything.
Pigeon.
No, not Rebecca Pigeon.
I love Rebecca.
Lindsay Krause. Does that ring a bell for anybody?
Yeah, I think we went to high school with her, right?
Yeah, no, I think that was a different Krause. If you Google her face, you'd be like, oh yeah, that lady. So that's who she's like the lead in it, and it's really good.
I'll Google her face. Google.
Strongly recommend it. Excellent. And of course, Ricky Jay's in it. So you got to have some Ricky Jay if you're going to have a Mamet movie. So I want to recommend House of Games. Excellent film. Really not what I expected at all. But it is so Mamet in a lot of ways. I'll just say that. But I want to recommend it. I watched Greedy, a 1994 film with Michael J. Fox, Phil Hartman, Ed Begley Jr., and of course, old man Kirk Douglas. This is a stupid ass movie.
Greedy.
It's kind of, yeah. I remember seeing it.
Movie.
Oh yeah, I remember. I went back to watch it because I remember being a kid like, this is dumb. Everyone's greedy. It's annoying. Of course, it's just like so. This family is so blatantly obsessed with the greed that it's not even trying to hide it. Like it's just dumb.
A bad Knives Out.
Yeah. Oh, horrendous. They're not even trying to kill him. They're just waiting for him to die. That's the worst part. It's like, just die, please. But they won't do anything about it. This movie sucks. Don't go back and watch Greedy. But I'm going to recommend Greed, which is how I ended up watching Greedy, strangely enough. Greedy is a Michael Winterbottom film starring Steve Coogan from 2019. And it gets shit on. It's got a 5.5 rating on IMDb, but I thought that's bogus. In fact, it's a little bit more prescient now. It's obviously made during the Trump era. It's about a guy who's super rich and he's a scumbag. So there's a whole message about the world we live in and how rich guys are scumbags, which we already know. But then he's trying to make a point about the garment industry specifically and how people are still being exploited. It's a drama. It's not a documentary at all, but it's classic Winterbottom. It's got that certain style of humor, and it's also.
I love this face. This
yes.
picture. The cover box is pretty great. I haven't seen the movie yet, but the cover box really grabbed me. Just
that picture,
an orange Steve Coogan.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I really think it's like it's like Trump. It's almost like Trump, but it's not quite. But it's like a British Trump because they're in Britain, and that picture is dumb as fuck too. So it kind of turned me off from the movie. But I'm glad I got around to finally watching it because it's not that dumb.
Close out a Greed trilogy.
I did not.
Greediest.
Oh shit! Is there Greediest?
Greedier.
That would have been awesome. I would have watched that, but I did not get the chance to do that. I watched a movie that I actually was thinking about recommending, but then I decided just to watch it, and I realized I made the right choice because I should never recommend this movie to watch. It doesn't hold up. Men of Honor. It's got fucking Robert De Niro and Cuba Gooding Jr. And it's about an amazing guy. Carl Brashear is the first African-American master diver. Like, it's a really great story about his actual life. His life is more compelling than this movie because it's so fucking, where's Luke? Where's Steve? Formulaic. This is like, here's how Hollywood can take racism and stories of oppression and turn them into formulas. And that's what they do with this movie, unfortunately. And it's a damn shame because you got some great acting. You got Charlize Theron and Robert De Niro. But that's pretty much it. It's not good. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know if you guys ever saw it recently.
I saw it when it came out, and it left no impression on me.
Oh, see? And that's what I'm talking about. It should have made an impression. Speaking of reconnaissance, I went back to the beginning. I never saw A Time to Kill, and I finally watched it. So,
oh shit,
it's it's not as formulaic as Men of Honor, but it is about racism, and it's pretty hardcore. It's a little not campy. Sometimes it's a little over the top, but I think it was pretty solid. I want to recommend it if you never saw it. It's pretty well done.
That gave
And-
America the first like Samuel L. Jackson quote that people could just walk around yelling. Yeah, I'm glad they're dead. I hope they burn in hell. That was the first time, because like turned out there'd be a whole career if there's people shouting his stuff. But
I mean, Pulp Fiction did come out before that, but yeah,
did it?
94, yeah.
Oh, I thought Time to Kill was first. When
But
was
it's
Time to
definitely
Kill?
a great line. 96.
96.
'Cause-
Oh, I thought it was okay. I thought it
it
was a lot earlier than that. All right, I take it back. I'm not a film historian.
See, no, but at least you come clean. That's what you get on the show. Genuine honesty, folks. And that was McConaughey's first like lead role, so that's true. Which led me to watch Angels in the Outfield. I'd never seen this movie before. It's a stupid ass Disney movie. I never saw it as a kid. It just came out at a point where I
Christopher
love
Lloyd?
baseball. Yes, dude, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Christopher Lloyd, Matthew
Danny
McConaughey,
Glover.
Adrian Brody. I mean, it's like there's Oscar winners on this. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's dumb as fuck. But I actually enjoyed it. It was
But
fun.
why are the Angels in the outfield? Because I've never seen this film. Like, what
That's the
happened?
other
Why
part.
are they there?
Because fucking Dermot Mulrooney is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's father, but their mother died, so he puts him in a foster care home, even though he's a dad who's alive, and admits to his son directly, he's like, I gotta go for a while, man. But if the Angels win the pennant, then I'll come back. So he wishes for the Angels to win, and the Angels come in. Christopher Lloyd comes in. It's amazing.
Should have wished for a good father.
Yeah, well, he's a young child, he doesn't always know that. And then real quickly, I really wanted to talk about this with you guys. I went back and watched Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I'm like, it's been a long time.
Michael.
I just had to make sure. And it's fucking shit. It is such shit. And Batman and Robin is egregious as fuck. Batman Forever is a little less, but it's so fucking bad. Arnold, why? Why? Everything you've read about it, all the articles are fair, totally worthwhile. This is a piece of shit movie to the maximum extreme. Batman and Robin is not worth it. There's no redeeming quality at all.
I can give you a redeeming quality because I've been thinking about this a lot recently. It's not boring. All the work that was put into it, I mean, you could do a lot worse. It's not dull. I mean, it's watchable as far as just fucking throwing something on.
It's the faintest praise I've ever heard.
Hey, it's something. And this is critically lambasted universally. I'll watch it. If it's on, I'll sit there and fucking watch it.
If you like
pick it apart.
moving images and sounds, turn it on.
Yeah.
Maybe your
Show
dog
your
will
dog.
like it.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, it's something. Batman and Robin.
It's not 90 minutes long anyway.
Oh, I wish it was. God.
Is it longer? Is it 2 hours?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
closer to 2, I believe. Yeah, it's a slog from hell, and it's terrible. Quickly, I watched so many movies. So Problem Child 1 and 2, I went back to back. I knocked them both out, and I laughed my ass off. John Ritter is fantastic in both
God
movies.
bless
He
him.
really is. It's
R.I.P.
perfect for him. Yes. God, he's so
man.
fucking good. And Jack Warden, R.I.P. as well. Jack Warden and John Ritter is enough to get me through the door, and I'm happy that I watched both films, and I don't regret either one of them. That kid was good. That kid was rock solid.
Michael Oliveri. Yeah, whatever happened?
Yeah, and I saw
his
Slumdog
name?
Millionaire for the first time. I never saw Slumdog Millionaire, and that was a fucking train. It was tough. It was tough to get through, man. It was some brutal scenes in that movie that I was actually eating, and a particular scene came on early on in the film, and I was like, oh, fuck! I couldn't handle it. I had to look away and fast forward it. Not because I wanted to, but because I just couldn't. I was eating, and it was gross. It was really, I know it wasn't real poop, but it was sick. It really bummed me out, and I was
You don't want to look at even fake poop while you're eating food. I mean, that's just,
it depends on how it's done, but it was so authentic. The scenery and where they shot. They shot in India and they shot in real slums from based on what I saw and what I heard.
there was real
about
poop
and read
somewhere
about.
in that. Yeah.
Yes, it was so authentic, even though the poop was fake, that it freaked me out. So yes. And then lastly, I watched. I never saw this. I finally saw Venom, and with Venom 2 coming out soon, I wanted to make sure I got in.
And
you're shaking your head. You're shaking your head, Travis.
Why?
I thought it was trash.
Trash. Out,
Yeah, I
just
don't
straight
care.
out.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Finally saw Venom. You've been wanting to?
I mean, I just I hear that if you aren't really a Venom fan of the comic, then you might like it more. But to me, and I'm not like a huge diehard Venom fan. I'm vaguely, I like it. I like him, but it was so far afield from the character for one, and after watching, it's been a Marvel's had some time to perfect what they're doing, but it's been banger after banger for a long time of really competently well-made Marvel movies. And then here comes like this fucking too dark, weird humor, like just kind of like typical fucking, I mean, is there a giant blue light that shoots off into the sky from the top of a building in this movie? Because I feel like there is. You know, it's that kind of fucking movie.
Yeah, I mean, it does, and they have the rocket ship that goes up that doesn't go, but yeah, I can see that happening.
It's just that. I mean, I don't know. It just didn't have like. It just didn't do it for me. It felt like a fucking. It felt like a Sony Marvel movie, and which is a misfire. Unless it's the Spider-Man movies, it's a misfire.
And that's the other thing. There's no Spider-Man doesn't exist so far at all.
Right. Your character looks like Spider-Man with no explanation for that. Stupid.
So, I mean,
yeah.
Speaking of Venom, I mean, like Tom Hardy is heading into like Jared Butler territory. Like what happened? Like he is like just what is going on with his choices these days? Like he did like the mumble thing for a while where he just like comes in, he's like blah, 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 blah. Now he's just out of control. He's like
Capone was 2020 and that was all mumbles.
I'm sorry, man, but that's a great talent that is just this horse shit. I couldn't give a fuck about Venom 2. Like Woody Harrelson, just do something else. I like Carnage back in the day, but this looks like dog shit.
Even with Andy Serkis directing, I'm like, I'm just not fucking interested, man. I couldn't be less interested. I'll watch it when it comes out. But
Eddie Brock is a kid, a photographer at the Daily Bugle, if I'm not mistaken, along with Peter Parker. Like, what? Am I missing something here?
What it feels
like
he
gets fired at the arch rival in the comics, doesn't he, or whatever? If
right.
You're gonna get specific.
What it felt like to me is like they had the rights to make the movie. They're like, we better hurry up and make this movie before someone else makes the movie. We lose the rights. Like that fucking shitty Captain America movie from the 70s or the shitty Fantastic Four movies. Like, who cares? Just churn out any old crap. People will like it because they like Marvel, and and it made like $800 million or something insane like that. It was nuts. And
it did.
Plenty of people love it. So power to them. I hope they enjoy it. It's just not for me.
Luke says Venom is the best thing in the Marvel universe next to Ragnarok. Am I making too many comments?
Yes.
No, you're welcome. Yes. Sorry, you are. But he also says Serkis can't direct, unfortunately.
What else did he direct?
Well, he directed the Jungle Book Origins film.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I
didn't catch that one. Kind of not checking in with all the many Disney movies they just remake in almost
the live
action.
actions. Yeah, I didn't see the Aladdin. I couldn't give a shit. He is going to be Alfred Pennyworth though in the Batman. That's cool.
Yeah, he is.
That's true.
So he's a good actor.
Good. He's great. He's great. No complaints.
But this is it. People are getting pissed about Venom, or at least it's a critic opinion. Ghost Hand, good to see you. Venom's greatest virtue was the banter between Venom and Eddie. Tom Hardy did the best he could with that script.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Tom Hardy did okay. I mean, he still put on like a weird voice that just didn't make sense to me. Like, who talks like this? But but like, I mean, yeah, he's still a good actor. But the script was crap. I mean, it was a crap movie. I mean, again, like if those that like it, power to you. Enjoy the sordid come down of fucking shitty Spider-Man movies like that Mrs. Spider-Web movie, whatever the fuck. They're making all kinds of shit. So enjoy.
Oh man, that is a bummer. And the more I thought about it, because I got a little bit excited because I liked seeing Venom on screen. It's a cool fucking character. So
they do it right.
Right. But even like getting tidbits, I was like, I got excited at certain parts and it caught me in. But then the more I looked at it, I'm like, why is Michelle Williams in this movie? First off, I don't know.
Unbelievable.
There it is.
I couldn't believe it. I thought I did a triple take when they started the movie and they give him the coffee that morning. Is that a doppelganger? Is that Michelle Williams? It really was.
It is.
Just wasted.
Money.
And then you're wasting Woody Harrelson as Carnage, which is, I mean, Carnage and Venom. I used to love Carnage and Venom when I was a kid. Like that was one of the, I used to play the video game and I was really into that. It was a great
Carnage.
Yes, doppelganger coming in. I mean, there's a lot of cool shit that could go down, and it's not. The more you talk about it, Travis, I see your point, and I think I understand now why.
I mean, seeing Venom on screen is cool. Like it's going to be cool. It's inherently cool because it's fucking Venom, and you're looking at Venom, and that's cool. But like, if everything else happening around it, is not cool, then you end up with Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Oh shit! That is Welcome to Hell.
One of these movies that like You're right. It's so dark, and it's like you can tell like the actors showed up for like a month, and then the rest was just made in the computer, and they're just making it around like a few scenes that actual people did. I can't handle it anymore.
And mispronouncing symbiote the whole time. Symbiote. The whole fucking movie. Did you not have a single person that read it or like watched any of this shit before? It could be like it's symbiote.
You're fired. Get out of here.
You're doing it wrong.
Script supervisor. We need a script supervisor on this fucking thing. You're right. That was a big issue too, man. And we'll close it out with this. Ghost Hand says Tom Hardy is contractually obligated to be unintelligible in every movie he's in. Well, I didn't know about that contract, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. Well, there it is. Wow, Venom. Interesting. Venom 2 comes out in the fall, so hey, enjoy it. Woody Harrelson's a great actor. So is Tom Hardy, but
I mean, I'll watch it.
Hopefully on a
not in
streaming
theaters.
service, we don't have to pay for it. Yeah.
Not in theaters. I can wait for that. I can wait for Morbius. I can wait for all that shit. Anything that's outside of MCU, I can fucking wait.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Well, guys, I forgot to mention, but we have 2 emails this week. 2 emails from Chad and another dude. So let's get to these real quick, and then we'll get into Blow. Hello, Cinema 9. This is from Chad. Just saw an article saying the movie A Knight's Tale still holds up. Disregarding the blatant ripoff of Cinema 9 Does It Hold Up shtick. Thank you, Chad. The thing is this. A Knight's Tale is trash. It always has been trash. It's been trash since the day it was released. My question is this. How do you answer the question, does it hold up when it comes to a movie that you hated in the first place? When I walked out of the theater after seeing A Knight's Tale, I didn't say, that movie didn't hold up. I said, that movie was a train wreck. Certainly the question of holding up somehow means more than just not liking it. I'd sure like your thoughts. P.S. Does Rufus Sewell make anyone else feel uncomfortable?
Very creepy dude.
He's good in The Father.
I thought 2 things when I walked out of the theater in 2001 with Chad Gibbons seeing A Knight's Tale. 1, Shannon Sossman's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. 2, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. In fact, for many years after that.
Are you talking about the right movie? Am I crazy real quick here?
Heath Ledger, like jousting picture.
Oh, fuck. Okay, go
That's
ahead.
A Knight's Tale, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about Sean Connery and Richard.
That's
talking about
that's first night.
Oh, shit! That's what I did.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Please
I've
go
never
ahead.
seen either one, so
This was the bar. Like the
cares?
bar was set here for worst movie of all time until I watched The Saint recently. So, my opinion, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life, and the most egregious usage of David Bowie's music to accompany a shitty film in recent memory.
Oh no, they did an anachronistic thing there. That's so dumb. Well, sometimes it works, but I don't think that works with King Arthur's bullshit. But Travis, you've discussed this many times. What it means to hold up is not necessarily what you might think.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be different when it comes to a movie that never held up for you in the first place. You know, that's then it couldn't possibly hold up. So I mean, then you can only say like, well, you know, this still doesn't do it for me. You know, even if it's a classic, you know, like A Knight's Tale is a classic to a lot of people. You know, there is people of a certain age that hit them in the right spot, and they love it. I never watched it. I just remember that was the problem I had. I mean, in the previews, I remember being like, what the fuck is this music? Is this a comedy? And I was just like, nah, not for me. Nah, I've never seen it.
I never saw it either. So yeah, clearly
Ben.
not as powerful on the generation as maybe they had hoped. So
I love this question because you're right. We talk about that quite a bit. For me, a good example of this whole conversation is Dead Poets Society. Because before we did the episode, if you were to tell me that movie, I'd be like, oh, of course, it fucking doesn't hold up. That movie's cheesy bullshit. I loved it when we did it for the episode. So while I would have said, yeah, it never held up in the first place, when we rewatched it, I was able to say it absolutely holds up. I love this movie. So, I mean, it's mercurial, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I've had that experience where I didn't care for the movie, then came around on it later yet.
Yeah, exactly.
But if that does happen, I'll let you guys know.
And that may have happened. I'll have to go back and think about it. But when I think about this, it's simple. Does it hold up? I kind of think about what's going on in society, too. Not just is it a good movie or not either. I do. I think about the social mores of the day. What was going on then? What's going on now? Yeah, there's some things are easy to call out. Like that doesn't hold up. Joe Dirt doesn't hold up. It was easy to kind of figure that out. It brought pleasure and it did have some funny moments, sure. And in a certain time and place, people laughed uproariously, which I did. I'm there. So
Def Leppard sucks.
Exactly. So that's all I think about it, Chad. It's always a fun question. It's always evolving on the show, as we like to say. But let me get to the other email real quick so we can move on. And it's from Aaron, our good pal Aaron, Chudpud. Chudpud says, hey, guys, how many DVDs do you still own? Blu-rays and HD DVDs excluded. Wow, okay, well, Blu-rays are DVDs, I feel like, but all right, we'll play along. I still have about 300. Wow, I've been to your house. I've lived in your house. I know how many DVDs you have. I even bought The Abyss last year because it wasn't available to stream anywhere. Guess what? Now it is streaming.
No.
Yeah. DVDs, anybody?
Yeah, I still have them. They're good for collecting dust and letting people that don't come over to my house see that I like movies. I guess like they just kind of sit there and like, yep, on display. Don't currently have I have a DVD player. There's no cord for it. I couldn't watch any of them if I wanted to. But they exist. I've actually really liked to start getting more into buying some more physical media, but like I just don't really have I don't have a good enough TV for it yet. But maybe when I step up in life and get a new TV, which sometime this year I will, maybe I'll start getting, Blu-rays and that kind of shit. Maybe. I don't know.
You don't forget you're talking to a podcast co-host here that will own the DVD for our movie of the week and yet rent it for $4 just so we can be in the other room and not have to plug in the DVD player. I still own about 200-300 myself. They're collecting dust once every few years. Usually when I move, I'll weed through them and be like, there's no way I'm ever gonna watch this again. Yeah. But I still got a tight collection.
When I lived at Aaron's house, it's all out there in the open. You don't have to go digging for it. At least it used to be. All the shelves are around the house, really well organized. And I would pull out the DVDs and watch them. I really would. Because if there was a Marvel, particularly Marvel movies, I don't think I actually saw that one, or I haven't seen that one in a while, and I'd pop those in. That was very helpful. So I find your collection to be quite useful, Aaron. Thank you for that. But as I said, I literally have 5 DVDs over here on a shelf. That's all I got. And I only knew one I had to the collection was courtesy of you, thank you, with First Reformed. So.
Yeah. I will say this, that there's been a couple of cases where I had to rent a movie, usually for the show, and it's like I could rent it for $4 or I could buy the digital copy for $8. And I'm like, fuck, no, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that digital copy. I don't own it. Amazon or whoever the fuck, they own it. Whenever they want to make it no longer stream there, it just vanishes from their library, and I no longer have access to it. So, I do like the idea of having actual physical media for you do own it. You can, so long as you have electricity and all of the required components, you can watch the goddamn movie and have yourself a time. So I do like.
Yeah, that's very true. Fuck the big people. Those big DVDs not going to get the best of us. I'll tell you that right now.
Big VHS.
And the last part of this is, guys, The Abyss isn't very good. Are you interested in buying my DVD copy of The Abyss? Are there any DVDs I should absolutely hold on to? You better not say The Abyss either. What DVDs are you guys holding on to for life? I bet one of you needs a copy of The Abyss. So how many DVDs do you guys still have?
So
we covered some of that, but
Aaron, if you bring your copy of The Abyss to a future feast, I'll give you $10 for it. I'm a fan of the film. I love its use of early Industrial Light and Magic special effects that were unheard of in 1989. I love Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio so much. I'll own any movie she's ever starred in. I think the picture is underrated, to be honest with you. I'll give you $10 for it.
Fuck me running.
Friend of the show, Steve Laskowski, recently gave me a DVD copy of Roadhouse. I will keep that until the day I die.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Steve.
Thank you, Floyd.
Those are the last 2 movies, First Reformed and Roadhouse, that have been added to my collection.
And I've got a couple other random DVD. I have a Twilight Singers. I'm going to talk about Greg Dooley again on the show later, so might as well get it started now. I got Twilight Singers live DVD. I'm never going to get rid of. I got Tom Waits. Not short change. I can't remember. One big time. Yeah, I got Big Time. I got a couple of stuff like that's kind of hard to find other than on DVD. So those things in particular, I'm happy to hold on to.
Big Time is on DVD. There's a VHS for $300 on eBay.
That's why I hold on to it so tightly. Yeah.
Okay, Luke.
Luke says Citizen Dildo. Yeah, we're all keeping our Vanilla Sky copies cherished. Very close to the chest.
I let mine go.
Oh, no!
I let mine
Fuck
go.
me running.
Oh my gosh, I can't live with that. Well, thanks for emailing the show, cinema9pod@protonmail.com. We encourage you not to email us, but if you have to, yes, cinema9pod@protonmail.com. Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna get into Blow here in just a moment. Don't forget to follow the show on all your favorite.
Hour in.
Yeah, well, hey, we've had a lot going on. We've had a lot of connection. Good job, everybody. People are interested in the show and they're talking about movies, and fucking hey, that's great. That's why we do this show. So thank you guys. We do appreciate your emails and the live comments. I'm going to be on a show after this show. I just want to mention real quick. It's called Pop Goes. Shit.
What the fuck is Mike talking about?
Pop Goes Culture? Pop Goes Your World. Pop Goes Your World. I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry, Chris and Derek. Pop Goes Your World. It's about a guy who is in the Generation X who's older and his friend who's a millennial, and they meet in the middle because some don't understand each other's pop culture, and they talk about movies and music, and it's fantastic. So I'm going to promote our show, of course, and talk about movies, and it's going to be a great time. So
I'm gonna have to listen to that. I'm curious to hear how many Gong Show references that are explained patiently to Chris.
Yeah. Remember the Mary Tyler Moore Show episode where
they didn't go that far back. Nobody said
Smokey
70s.
and the Bandit was really, really great. Am I doing a boomer? Sorry to the guy who maybe I'm doing a boomer.
Pop Goes Your World.
Asshole or nice guy?
Yeah. Pop Goes Your World. Check it out. It's a podcast. Pop Goes Your World. Chris is a really nice guy. He's Canadian, so he's obviously a sweet man. And I really enjoyed talking to him. So before we even did the podcast, so he's a good person, it seems like. And we're doing top 5 80s rock songs. I don't know how that's going to go because that's weird because I don't want to pick like glam metal because rock is a broad word, right? So I think I can still fit in like David Bowie and shit like that, right?
Of course.
Are you doing this like unironically so you could totally toss in like Here I Go Again and like be totally cool with being serious?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, yeah, I could be stupid as fuck, or I'm actually interested in like trying to maybe kind of give an honest, genuine top 5. But you're right, I could go that route. So we'll see. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. So check out Pop Goes Your World. All right. Pop Goes Blow, 2001 film directed by Ted, not Jonathan, Ted Demme, and starring Johnny Depp, Ray Liotta, Penelope Cruz, wow, Rachel Griffiths in a really annoying role, which kind of is not her fault. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. 2001's Blow. Eric, you chose this film. Take us back to 2001. Man, I'm really trying to put myself in the shoes of that era with this movie. It was a big deal.
You know, Mike, I cannot believe the two coincidences. It didn't add up to me until I turned on the film until this is the 20-year anniversary of Blow. So I think enough time has gone by to take a nice fresh look at it. We've got the passing of its central character, George Young, last fucking like 2 weeks ago, unbeknownst to me. So I was interested. It just kind of popped into my brain like, Christ, I saw this twice in movie theaters and I haven't thought about it, seen it since. It's literally one of the DVDs that I looked at and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to watch this again on a move and donate it. So, it's just one of those things. Johnny Depp on top of the world. And this is, I got to tell you, when you're like 2021 in 2001, like any movie that's doing this vibe is just so cool. This music supervised soundtrack is on fire. If you're me, you're buying into it. So I bought into it, but it's been 20 years. So I'm excited to talk.
Travis, you saw us in the theater? No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theaters. So like I was a Ted Demme fan. Like, I mean, like I knew him, I knew his work, and like this was the one that was like that in my thinking, like this tips him over into the big time. I already really like stuff like Monument Avenue and The Ref, and I really liked Life too. Life. He did that with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence.
Beautiful Girls.
No, that was him, and Beautiful Girls.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I liked Life, man. I watched Life recently, and I thought it held up pretty good.
I watched it for the first time a couple months ago, and it was funny. I can laugh.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie at all. So as a fan, I was like, and even if I didn't like Ted Demme, like it was clearly like a big deal when it came out. Johnny Depp, of course, like so I watched it, and like everybody, I was all into it, and it was a big hit. It was the poster was everywhere. And then I watched it quite a few times and then didn't watch it, 20, I don't know, 18 years or 19 years, something like that.
Wow.
Oh, I don't know if that's allowed, but it did happen, so we'll accept it. I definitely saw the movie on DVD. I did not catch it in the theater, but when it hit DVDs, it was a hot topic. Everybody was talking about it. It had already had a lot of buzz because of the theater run itself, which I think it was pretty successful, wasn't it, in the theater? I just saw it on the DVD and I started watching it over and over again. It became a repeat reviewing. I'd watch it all the time in late 2001, 2002-ish.
The Dungeon, it was just always on in the background every day.
Yeah, surprisingly, Henry Fool took off more than Blow in 2002 at the dump, which is strange. You feel like Blow would have fit in a lot more than Henry Fool.
I'd like to claim that personally and be like, that was me. I was always just going to rewind. We're gonna watch that again.
Henry Fool, Rounders, Ravenous, yada yada yada, again and again. So I got no beefs with that at all. But yeah, DVD was how I found the movie. But as far as how people view this film, IMDb rating, anybody? I didn't look it up yet, so I'll take a chance.
I believe I saw it, so you guys can guess. I know it. I'm pretty sure I know it.
This is getting trickier for me because you have to rent a lot of these, and when I go to rent it, the score is right there. So I try to avert it, but I'm getting used to seeing it so much more often.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
Oh, you know it too?
Yeah.
I'll say it's a 7.2.
Close. 7.6.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That is fucking way up there.
Whoa. I'm genuinely kind of surprised by that.
It's a beloved film.
What does that mean? Like, it's a beloved film.
People beloved it.
Ooh, I'm more beloved.
Well, I'll tell you what, when it comes to the critics on Rotten Tomatoes, which is the be-all, end-all, boy, critics, not pleased. Splat! 55%. Audience score, 87. This is a big-ass disparity in this film.
Big disparity.
I'm quite surprised, to be honest with you. I just didn't think critics would be that pissed about it, but maybe it is more formulaic than I realized. We'll talk about that more.
It's another one of those things. Remember we talked about Rules of Attraction where critics loved it, but for some reason the audience score wasn't there. Kids, like people our age, adored this. The critics fucking thought it was like been there, done that, like trash. And Blow, I mean.
Oh,
right. Oh, Blow. Yes, that makes sense. As far as the critics, people say that I don't know. I'm not seeing Destin Thompson yet. I'm looking for him, and we will continue to find him. We never give up on Destin's efforts here on this show. But
breaks my heart.
I know
breaks
it
my
does.
fucking heart.
I know it does. It's not fair. It's not right. And I wish that we could get Destin Thompson on the show just once. It'd be amazing. If you ever want to be in the show, Destin, and you're familiar with our work, please.
Yeah. Standing invitation.
Yes, absolutely. 24/7. Well, Peter Howell of the Toronto Star says, Blow can't sustain the high. Yeah. That's funny, isn't it? Is that hilarious?
That's punny.
Mike Clark, USA Today, says it's one of the few major releases so far this year that is worth a grown-up's time.
That is so odd. Worth a grown-up's time.
Must have been a shit year for movies. He probably just got out of seeing Joe Dirt. Which basically had the same soundtrack, by the way.
What do us adults have to fucking do? We can't sit down and watch Blow? Jesus, man.
Terry Lawson, Detroit Free Press, ambitious but repetitive. Oh, Roger Ebert, take away the drugs, and this is the story of a boring life in wholesale.
Wow! God damn, bless you, Roger.
That is fantastic.
Wow.
And there he is, Destin Thompson, Washington Post.
Right.
Makes you wonder just a little what it was about Blow that made it a go project.
Like, how did this get made? He's basically asking how this got made, right?
He basically is. That's how I interpret it. So.
Yeah. What is your message? Who is your audience? And what do you expect from this story? From critics, audience, everything? Destin, God bless you.
Oh, Eric's tilting his hand.
It's repetitive. I mean, just because that's the drug life, or could it have been?
In terms of cinema, this story is repetitive in that we've seen it many times before, but And, it's Newtonian. It's like what goes up must come down. We've seen this a million times before. I'm not sure this is told in a different way than we've seen. It wouldn't be till later on when we saw movies that told this story, but it wasn't about the whole drug running thing, Wolf of Wall Street and The Mule, for instance. But yeah, I mean, ups, downs, strikes, gutters, man.
Beautiful sentiment. So I'm asking though when it came out though, not 20 years after. I mean, I know we're gonna say does it hold up or not, but at the time, Fear and Loathing came out a couple years before this, and I thought if it's a drug movie or it's about drugs at all, that movie is way better than this film in terms of having things to say and the way it's structured and the dialogue itself, the comedy. It's funny, and then it's also like suddenly serious and bizarro all at once. And this movie's like I feel like you would call this a procedural, Eric. I really do.
One of the reviewers said that the high doesn't last long. I paused it when the high stopped because I ended up watching this twice last week because you know me, like I'm like spaced out. It's like 3 a.m. I'm feeding my daughter. I'm not even paying attention. So I had to watch it again to be sure of my points. And I paused it after 27 minutes after the whole like fun and games is over. He gets arrested in Chicago in 72. The rest of the movie is pretty much low. So it's only barely even that first act that's the high. And in a movie about like drug running, when you got the success, the glitz, the glamour, I don't know if that small of a chunk can sustain the mire that follows it.
I do believe that's part of the point of the film, though, right? Is that drugs don't pay, crime doesn't pay. That this is one of the most successful drug smugglers in world history, and the low came that the high ended early and it was all low after that. It was all downhill from that. There's a documentary that will be coming out about him soon. I believe that it's called George Young, something like Famous Without the Fortune, which like that about sums. I mean, the guy clearly had a shit life for being a famous drug dealer.
He did, yeah. Tough break on that. Sorry, George, but he did live a long life. So congratulations, George Young. There he is again. Look at him.
78. I mean, I think 76, something like that, which is not that long, but longer than probably lots of guys that at one point are doing, was it like 90 grams of cocaine he was doing a day or something?
Not bad. Nice little Saturday. Is this a classic case of all style, little substance here? Because this movie is quite stylized, whether it's a ripoff or just it's been there, done that before. Like you said, the soundtrack was a big deal at the time. It brought back some of these classic rock songs like, oh, Black Banner Man, that was a big deal. And that Rolling Stone song that it starts
back.
with.
I mean, had they really, I don't know if had they really.
It put them to another generation is what I mean. It did, in a sense.
Okay.
You could disagree. That's fine.
I just don't know that. I just feel like I've seen. It's hard to say. I've seen so many fucking movies that take place in this era that have the same fucking songs. Oh, That Smell Again. Okay, must be a bad part of the character's time if they're playing That Smell. He's having a bad time now. Here's the Skinnerd. You know what I mean? Like it's. I didn't seem that unique to me. Now I will say, there is things I like in terms of Demi's direction here. So like. I think that he does a decent job, not a great job, but of trying to like ground the movie in these time zones, these time frames, eras. Like in the beginning when they're like smoking weed on the beach in the 60s and stuff, and like there's like these far off shots, and then there's like this like bustled kind of like extreme close up from far away. These camera movements and stuff that are very reminiscent to the era. So it's not just the music, it's not just the clothes, it's not just the set dressing. There's like I wouldn't be surprised if he was using like old film stock and stuff. Like there's definitely some. Like Demi was shooting for the fucking fences on this one. This was the last movie he did. He died like 6 months or less after it came out or something. And I mean, this is the only movie that I know of that he also did a cameo in. Like this was his big, I think this was supposed to be like the big one, this was supposed to be the one that pushed him up. And I think it did temporarily put him up on the next level in terms of tier of directors.
Fuck me running.
Yeah. I mean, there's style in there that's really enjoyable. For me, it's aping the styles of Scorsese and even Paul Thomas Anderson and David O. Russell so much that it goes beyond homage. It's almost plagiaristic. It's like a spoiled brat that steals the keys to his dad's flashy car and then just like crashes into a tree. For me, it's all style and very, very little substance. A copy of a copy of a copy.
All right. Well, I was going to save this point for the end, but since you've already brought up Scorsese, so I was thinking a lot about Scorsese and Tarantino watching this movie, and about the fact that like those guys are students of film. These guys like famously know and love movies, and so when they're doing stuff, they're drawing from all kinds of stuff that I've maybe seen, maybe haven't seen, probably haven't seen, or even fucking heard of, and they're doing all this stuff, and it kind of like makes it like this hodgepodge, and then make it their own. Like even if it's a very clear like a homage, sometimes it still feels very Tarantino. But if you're watching a movie that feels Scorsese, or it feels Tarantino, or like Super 8 that feels Spielberg, right? Like it doesn't feel like an homage. It just feels like a ripoff. It just feels like you're doing something that other people do better, and you're trying to do it too. And it just feels like. I mean, like this movie, it's got the freeze frames, it's got the fucking voiceovers, it's got Ray Liotta, for God's sake. This is L.A. Scorsese.
It's like the McDowells of drug movies. You know what I mean by that? Like McDonald's.
Yes, we grew up watching Coming to America.
Yeah,
Like
we know what that means, Eric.
I don't know. I kind of thought that would be a hit, but I forgot you guys have seen that a million times.
We're so glad that you're putting the reference out there and knowing what it means. I'm loving it. It's fantastic. I love the early parts, like you said, even the beginning. I know he's drowning it in light, but the beginning with like,
I got goosebumps. Awesome, fucking.
I actually
awesome.
fast forwarded that, but no, because I know it's the whole formulaic thing. Like, okay, well, here's the cocoa plants being turned into cocaine.
No,
Great,
you're missing the point. They're
I was
immediately showing you the danger of this industry, man. Come on now.
Well, I actually was talking about Ray Liotta and his flannel, having his moment with his little son there right after the freeze frames. I mean, it's drowned in light. It's because they're trying to make it look like it's even older and older. And I thought it actually wasn't, whether it was a ripoff or not, it actually did a good job of like, oh, wow, this does look like it's almost in the fucking 50s. This is cool. And so it was just to Travis's point, except just in a different scene. But you're right. You think about these guys like Tarantino and Thomas Anderson and all these guys who are hardcore filmmakers who loved film, and they're this movie is intense at certain times, but it somehow is not as raw and as gritty as these other guys in the way they would do this movie. I just imagine how they would have done it. It would have been even more like just gritty and like, oh wow, this is fucking intense. There's just no stakes. It feels like a fun fest. Hey, it's a fun fest. Even when things get serious, it doesn't seem that serious.
I will say, I think that Depp is putting in solid work from beginning to end. Sometimes it's like, okay, that's a rubber nose. Okay, that's a nice wig. But like, but the work that he does from beginning to end, sometimes it's like, putting a windbreaker on a dude doesn't actually make him look older, by the way. But still,
put a pillow under his shirt.
But still, the work that he does through this movie, I think it's testament to like the absolute consistent great work that the man has done through the majority of his career. I mean, like it's a very much it's a character driven piece. The plot itself is like it's kind of played, so like I really all hinged on his performance and making you care about George Young, and you know and I think he accomplishes that. It's a pathetic character. He plays him pathetically, but he also plays him like, I mean, he's a fucking rock star. He's walking around in white leather all the time, only sunglasses, indoors all the time. So like it's and also Young's biggest flaw is his trust. Right, like the character's flaw is like he wants these people to be his friends. He expects them to have this loyalty that he has towards them that like they wouldn't dream of having him towards him, like with like person over person. But
he also held out for so long with For Real too, though. That that's where I got confused. In that
he thinks they're all on the same
he held
page,
out for
and they're
years.
not, and you can't be in this industry.
What do you mean he held out? You mean when he held out on telling the name? You mean
sharing his connect, which would really. That was the moment of trust. You're right. He did agree to trust him, but it seemed like a character. It seemed like the script wanted him to do it, to be honest with you, because he was like, no way.
And then he gets shot because of Diego. He gets shot. And he's like, as he's bleeding, he's like, okay, well, since you got me shot, I guess I'll. But I'm thinking that his motivation there is like, all right, I'm fucking out of this. Like, I'm just like, I think that part of him is like, I will just set him up with For Real, which For Real, that's the character's name, For Real, like literally spelled For Real.
Derek fucking For Real.
Towards the end of the movie, he says something along the lines of my ambition far exceeded my talent. And that's 100% accurate. George Young was in the right time in the right place and knew the right people, according to this movie. Didn't really do a lot for the most part, like just played middleman for apparently like a half a decade or more. And like eventually, all he really did was like know some people and know some other people and like just forced himself in there like, hey, I'm going to make money too, guys. And then and that's it. Like he really served no fucking function.
Well, I love all those points. We're kind of like taking bites of this movie all over the place. If you go back to the opening, I scratched my head in the 2 times I watched this about this prologue, the very well shot, pretty like Polaroid prologue we saw. What is the point of this? Like I mean, I kind of get there's this message about money and how that this threat of poverty is a dark cloud over George and his youth, and that he doesn't want to return to it. Is it enough to carry the story about this character?
You're saying
I never want to be poor. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. You're saying the prologue about him and his life, not the opening credits with people like getting preparing the drugs.
Yeah, and when we go into the flashback, which they make to seem pretty important and a huge piece of it.
I think it is a huge piece of him because I think it sets him up pretty clearly. Like he's got a good father who does a good job, who loves him very much and tells him important lessons like money isn't real. It's not really going to buy you happiness. It's not really going to take care of things. So he's got like this good father, but he's got this mother who's like absent and like, obsessed with money. And that's the side of him that, so he's like still, the character is like still a sweet guy, but he's obsessed with money too, to the point that like, I mean, like when they're squirreling away money later on in like the Breaking Bad kind of scene, when they're like, they got money that they're like trying to like put into closets so there's no room for it and shit. Like that's to me when you go, oh, we've made enough money. We don't have anywhere else to keep it. We can stop doing this now. We've made a lot of money, but like clearly, like for some people that, it's like gambling or something. It's like you can only go until you're forced down.
Yeah. Everything you're saying, I agree with you. I'm worried that the script didn't examine his relationship with money enough. He gets the stuff, lives in the big house, but he doesn't comment on it. It's very like vague about what this message that his father brought him does to him, other than, okay, I'm this now. It just got fucked, back to jail. Like, what is the through line and the arc of this money message?
That's what it was, wasn't it? There's not a lot else to it. Barbie dies. He loses Barb. That's like supposed to be this big deal in his life. So I got the thought when I used to watch it as a youngster, like, oh, he lost Barb, so now he doesn't give a fuck. He'll just, even if he needed enough money or it was enough money for him, he'll just keep going and going and going because he's empty inside. I thought that was like they were trying to insinuate that. But
if my significant other tells me they have less than 2 years to live, probably going to say more than like, oh no, maybe ask her what's wrong.
Well, again, it's stylized.
Whatever. I mean,
okay. All right.
He's wearing a beautiful blue hat. I will say that. So.
Like, when you're watching a biopic too, like you always have to ask yourself, how fucking accurate is this shit? I mean, right. How fucking accurate is it? I'm watching this movie. I'm like, God, Mirtha is the worst. Penelope Cruz's character. I'm like, she's like the worst person ever. Then I'm like, I wonder who they base this character on, because really they would have gotten all their information from George Young talking about his ex-wife. Which exactly. A lot of guys don't have great things to say about their ex-wife. Of course, she's the fucking devil.
So let's go into it then. The women in this movie are it's such a bogus, to me, there's not a lot, there's nope.
Other than Franca Potente, other than Barb.
Yes, that's true. Barb seems to have, she sets everything up. She makes shit happen for him. That's true. But Rachel Griffith's character, the mom, first off, she's not, they're like the same age.
She's 5 years younger than him.
That's it.
You could have cast anybody in that shit.
Why?
And Leona's
what do you think they were thinking?
Leona's only like a decade older than him. Even he's not really quite old enough to be playing his father.
This was 20 years ago. Ray Liotta's still around, moving quite well. He's not even that of an old man. He's older now for sure, but fuck.
Yeah, both these casts. I mean, Leota, I can forgive, but like Rachel Griffiths, like also like, what's with that accent? Is that supposed to be a Boston accent? Because it sounds kind of stereotypical and not about Bostonians. Am I right?
You put this character in like a Paul Feig movie, and like she's funny. Like, the whole performance is tonally fucked. Like she's worried about being embarrassed, and that's why she turns George in, but she does it in the middle of the night while everyone's watching and then screams fucking bloody murder in her neighborhood. What is this character?
Yeah, it's just a huge misfire of a casting, and I kind of feel bad for her. Why'd you even take this movie? Like she was about to like really take off, and she was about to start, like she'd already probably started recording 6 Feet Under.
Yeah.
So she was like in a good place in her life career wise. So this obviously didn't hurt her career or anything, but like, just why the fuck was she cast? Like, why did she say yes to the casting? It's always baffled me.
It does. And now more than ever, now that we're watching this and asking ourselves, does Blow hold up? Rachel Griffiths, what the fuck? It's not your fault necessarily. I mean, you'll take a role if you get it. It's on the casting supervisors. And you're right. The script is, I feel like Demi was focused on a lot of other things besides the script, to be honest with you. And not that he has to be obsessed with the script either, but he's the director, and whoever is responsible for these intentions of characters that aren't really fleshed out properly. And every woman is screaming and yelling after Barb, really. I just feel like that's ridiculous. It just seems, like you said, George Young tells the story, so it's his story to tell. It's clearly bullshit.
And every single character in the movie, like that is his friend, just about like it's them leading him down this path, right? Like first Tuna is like, "Hey, we're gonna sell weed," and then Diego's like, "Hey, you're gonna sell coke," and it's just like there doesn't seem to be a ton of accountability going on with the character. You know, I mean, he goes to jail, he loses his family and all that stuff. So they are trying to drive home the point that I guess he is accountable. But I mean, like at the same time, I don't really feel like that's really happening.
That is such a great point. For me, every side character, I'd be more interested in seeing a movie about them, or at least from their perspective.
Dooley's Big Adventure.
Yeah, named after Greg Dooley, even spelled like Dooley.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
I was waiting for it.
Max Perlich. All right.
So you'd watch a movie like the Derek for Real story more than this. I mean,
I think that's one of the big draws of this film at the time was Paul Rubens. Paul Rubens was someone that I did a little research. I read Wikipedia. I remember the outcry when he kind of went away both times. This was like a blip for him when he kind of stuck his head back up for a minute. Especially after that first time he went away, the general outcry was like, "Hey, we still like him." Was like, we don't really care that he jerked off in a porn theater. That's what porn theaters are for. We're not fucking concerned about this. Bring us back, Pee-wee. So I think that was part of it too. Was that this was not just like Paul Rubens was back. It was a fairly big role. Like other than the Pee-wee movies, the man hardly ever had like a tertiary character where he would play. You know what I mean? Like it was hardly ever he was doing stuff like even with this much import in the movie. So I think that had a lot to do with it. That people were like, yes, Paul Rubens, there he is.
When you mix in Ray Liotta's efforts in this, obviously Johnny Depp's, and then Paul Rubens, these characters, even if you start digging into them, they don't make as much sense. But on the surface, they're a lot of fun. They are. That's like, oh wow, I want to like see where these characters are going. I'm interested in this relationship between. I think the guy that we should be talking about is the guy who played Diego. He was fucking incredible in this movie.
I wrote that down. He's fucking who is this guy? Jala Mola. He was Jordi Malo. He was fucking fantastic.
Jordi Moya. Yeah.
Is he from anything else?
2 L's.
Sorry, my bad.
That's okay. Oh, Bad Boys 2. I think he was the bad dude in Bad Boys 2, or he's part of that. He's in Riddick. You love that?
He been the good dude then?
He was Santana in Riddick. I don't. Anybody know what that means? At any rate, he's kind of laying low, doing things that we're not as familiar with, but looks like TV and movie. So he works. He's been a steady worker.
Yeah,
and
he did good job here.
He was awesome. He used to be my favorite part of this movie, and to be honest with you, he still was. I really enjoyed it. But we are brothers, George. We are always brothers. Bye. Yeah. That's my favorite.
And I like that he kind of had some points. right? Like he kind of had some points. Like you wouldn't be here without me. Like
Yeah.
like you really weren't doing fucking hardly anything anyways. Like I'm like, and also like you did, and also part of me wants to grab Young and be like, dude, like you didn't give him for real's name for like years because you figured he'd fuck you over. Then he fucked you over.
I
And
know.
you show up all surprised.
It
Like
doesn't make sense. That's
didn't
that's
make
one of
sense.
the biggest issues I have with the movie.
yeah, there's a lot of character stuff that's done that just doesn't make a ton of sense.
I just don't understand. I know he's freaking out. He got shot. Like, why would he be in trouble for being shot? He says he could break up a Colombian marriage because he's Escobar's guy. Fuck everybody. But now all of a sudden, I got to turn loose my connect.
Hey, speaking of Pablo Escobar, remember when Cliff Curtis just played like every Latino?
I do. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
thing.
That was a
made him
thing
play
for-
like
for
five
a minute.
Saudi Arabians too.
I think.
sometimes.
Yeah, I was just gonna
a lot of
say.
terrorists tossed in there too.
He had a pretty good run for a Maori, dude.
I'm glad
and
he got the
playing-
work at least.
I mean,
but
I
really-
love him. I think he's a fucking
Great.
great actor, and I wish that we gotten more of him as Pablo Escobar because he's scary and cool as fuck.
I would have
love
been down
Cliff
with him
Curtis.
in Narcos. It would have been great if he played Pablo in Narcos. No offense to what's his face who played him, but
I mean, Cliff Curtis to me is someone that like he's starting to get a little long in the tooth, but I wish he'd gotten big. Like he should have done like starring work. I
Yeah.
think he had a ton of charisma and talent, but it still makes me kind of laugh when I see him from a certain era. It's like, oh, there he is, playing Pablo Escobar.
and of course, Ethan Suplee's in this. So hey, he played the tuna. Let's give credit to Ethan. Hi, Ethan. Hope you're doing well. But they got to have the
How
one
are your
that was-
thetans? How are your thetans?
So,
oh no!
did you know that the
no.
real tuna lives at Gold Base? He's a Scientologist too to this day.
Ah!
shit.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why Suplee wanted to play him, perhaps.
Maybe.
Oh man, that's kind of a buzzkill, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with my life. You're
Bigger
right.
buzzkill is how you enjoy tuna so much in those first 27 minutes, and then he never shows up again. Or is
Well, she
Does he-
dies.
does he
It really breaks
die?
up the band.
Does he die? Does he go to jail? Do they stop being friends? There's just no explanation for where he goes.
It breaks up the band, man. People are sad. It's really tough for them. And also, here's a cliche in this movie that is the cliche of every 90s movie and into the early 2000s related to drugs. You gotta have our main man, Mr. Sandoval, in it. Miguel Sandoval has to be in
Yep.
every movie related
Yep.
to cocaine in Colombia for like
We just-
10 years
We
straight.
just saw him playing a drug dealer and get shorty.
There, yes. That
do you
was the
think-
one that I've never seen even.
Yeah.
Clear present danger, get short. I mean, there's a whole list you could go through. I feel great that
man's
he got to
had
work again.
A nice little career playing drug dealers.
Colombian drug dealers, actually almost every time. It's pretty wild. But I didn't also know that you could go to prison but get out sooner if you just started teaching. That was a new thing. I was not familiar with that. So
Love that bar. Reminded me of my kids in my class. Like, I'll be like, hey, kids, take out your books. We ain't taking out shit. Immediately.
the fuck you know about running drugs?
Crime school.
But it's
Try-
so
well,
cheesy.
that-
The whole, hey, trust me, let's make a deal. I'll talk a little bit about this George Washington character, and then we'll do. It's so stupid.
There's no guards. I was looking through that whole scene. I'm like, is there a guard in this prison right now? They can just say whatever they want. It was odd. The whole point of prison was that you were constantly watched 24/7. But yeah, what do I know?
Yeah.
Maybe we're getting too into the weeds on this, but what else? What have we covered here? We're getting long. in the tooth,
How about the
but I'm
fact
sure there's plenty.
that George's daughter is an amalgam of he and Penelope Cruz, and yet both Emma Roberts and Jamie King are like white as snow. They did not bother at all with a hint of Hispanic ethnicity with this
Yeah.
daughter.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Come on,
That's a
dude.
good point.
They actually do like all the scenery. How many weddings are in this movie, by the way? Seems like there's 80 weddings.
Two or
and-
three?
Yeah, but it seems like there's a lot. Or it seems like the second half of the movie is all weddings. Like, hey, first someone dies, now we'll just get a bunch of weddings going on, and there's going to be a ton of photos in this. Is this a record for the most photos in a movie?
I do think that the cocaine photo montage is one of the Blinded by the Light. That's probably one of the strongest montages I've seen, in a movie. Like I thought that was really well done. Like because you could tell that they had taken their time setting up multiple locations, multiple shots. Like and you could there's a story in those photos that's going by so fast.
It's rhythmic, I think.
Yeah,
the music.
I think that's one of the highlights of the movie. I really do.
And once again, probably a story better told than like the David Copperfield From Birth to Death. I think about our good buddy Kevin Gage, Waingro, popping in towards the end, and then Max Perlich, who's a fucking great actor as Dooley. that whole setup is a infinitely more interesting movie than this story, in my opinion.
That would have been cool. Yeah, that would have been kind of interesting to get a little more in depth of that. But it also maybe wouldn't have had the same emotional impact if you didn't see how, you know, most of his friends and his wife and stuff had also done this to him in some form or another over and over again. I mean, clearly the dude makes some bad choices, right? Like that's like, again, like this is heavily biased in his favor. But that does seem to be the motif of the film is like, I mean, even his face is all beat on looking. Like the dude just gets beat on through emotionally and physically through the whole fucking movie.
Yeah, but he is great. I said that before. Depp, this is prime Depp. This is really, I don't have any issues. Even his accent is more muted than Rachel's. Like there is a Bostonian accent, but it's not so obviously ridiculous. That's how you do it, I feel like.
Absolutely. Your character's name is Boston George. So do you sound like a fucking cartoon character? No, you sound like an actual person.
How many Halloween USAs did they hit in LA to get all these wigs?
That's a good point. I thought about that myself. But I do agree with Travis. I just want to get this on the record that when Escobar comes up with George after they have their Jeep talk and says, we're going into business, and he goes, woo! And the music starts, that is perfect, the whole thing. So kudos to them on that. That's fun. There's some fun moments in this movie.
Absolutely.
There is.
Absolutely.
There is. There's
plenty of them.
You know, every time Leota and Depp are together on screen, like I want more of that. Hell, I could do a crazy buddy roadie with them. I would be interested in that movie. You know what, Dad? I'm quitting the life. Let's just go on the road together with all the money I've made for the rest of my life. Okay, cool.
I also think that there's, again, with the authenticity, like there's a piano bar in the 1970s early on in this film. It's all like these red lights and stuff. I just want to fucking walk through the screen and go into that piano bar. I mean, it's so 70, like 1970, 75. Like they do a really good job with just the set decoration, the locations they choose. It looks
when Paul
great.
Rubens shows up later with his 80s look. They even moved to the 80s.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry, George. I'm in my 80s phase now. I'm sober. My fault.
Right. And then the windbreakers come in the early 90s.
Blue windbreakers.
Yeah. They do. Yeah, they set the mood in all their parties, and whether it's the Christmas party with all the weed, and it's fun. It looks good. The set design and all the structure, the layout, everything is beautiful. There's no doubt about it.
Speaking of weed, this movie is very much like, hey, weed's a gateway drug kind of movie.
I can see that.
A little bit.
Does weed grow straight up in sticks like that? Am I a moron? Is that how it works? He's got his weed sticks, I remember. They're just buds, they go straight out. Is that how it works?
Like weed lollipops? What were those?
I don't grow weed.
I don't know. I know you don't grow weed, but I figured maybe you had a little bit of knowledge about weed, but that's okay. It doesn't matter because this movie's about blow. Fuck weed.
Is there enough cocaine in this movie?
Okay. Well, they don't mention. I mean, it's right in the era, and there's a huge opportunity to make some comments on like the Controlled Substance Act of 70, I think, and Nixon's and the formation of the DEA in 73. But they glossed past that, and there could have spent some time investigating that. And
movie ain't got time for that.
Blah, blah, blah.
How about the look on Depp's face when his daughter's being born? That whole scene where he's like watching it, and he's like, it was the most profound moment of my life. And he just looks like fucking hell. Looks like total hell.
He does. That's true. That's pretty solid.
Like by the time the movie ends, he's supposed to be like 42, I think. When exactly. That's like 1 year older than me. And now Johnny Depp was like 35 when he was playing this, but he looks like 70 when by the end of the movie.
Kind of looks like that. Wow.
Yeah.
Weird. All right. Well, I mean, we've covered this movie. Is there anything else? Last call here before we close up shop.
The score is like the music supervision clearly is fucking incredible. It's Ted Demme. It's going to be amazing. But Graham Ravel's like swelling migraine.
Is it even there? I don't even remember it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Travis, to be honest with you. Seems like it's all music to me. I can't even.
Very much a soundtrack driven kind of movie.
I couldn't even consider it. But, when they're on Norman's Cay and he says, "You're out, George," and they kick his ass and they show his eyes in the blue Caribbean reflection. He looks really crazy and it's gorgeously shot. There's everything. I don't have any complaints about how the movie looks at any time. I will say that. So.
Oh, yeah. The cinematography's solid.
Yeah. But that's not everything. So as we close the book on Blow, 2001's Blow by Ted Demme. Rest in power. No offense to Ted Demme if somebody comes out against this film. Eric, you chose it, so you're up first.
Oh, God. The biggest problem for me is this character, George. I don't really care that much about him. His motivations are aside from like him wanting to be rich, they're murky for me. He says like in the beginning when he's at the beach, he's like, oh, I feel like I belong somewhere finally for the first time. It's like, what? And then you got these weird time jumps, like this period where he gets arrested in Chicago and then everything just goes downhill. It's like blink or miss it. And it's for me, that tonal shift is really rough. And the film never really recovers from it. In fact, most of it for me is just this voiceover that it's just the same, like it was all perfect until it got shitty. Like 20 times that same exact thing happens. I'm sorry. I don't know how I sat through this twice in the theaters. I look at other films with this type of story, like Catch Me If You Can or Wolf of Wall Street, where they say, let's not worry about like the consequences. Obviously, like don't be a drug dealer. You're going to be in jail. Center the movie more on just the fun and then leave that to, the viewer, and you got a better movie, in my opinion. It's kind of a facsimile type movie for me. I've seen better movies like this that go for this, that are told a little bit better. Like the Penelope Cruz character, for instance, if you don't mind, is just she's just funny. This real character, Mirtha, was like this volatile, horrific, abusive woman. They gloss over it for the sake of like her telling some jokes at like a party. It's just it moves too quick for me in a bad way. It doesn't hold up for me, you guys.
Wow.
His own choice.
My
His
own
own
choice.
choice doesn't hold up.
You believe that? Who went last week? I can't remember. Who went first? You probably did. So I'll go. I saw Blow a long time ago, and then I watched it again because that's what we do. We watch the movie before we do the show. And I found myself entranced. I was like, oh, wow, okay, wow. And I just started staring at the screen, even though I didn't think about it as critically as I should have. But as the movie started to slow down a bit in the middle, and there was a moment where I started to think more and more like, it's fun. It's kind of fun. There's some good times, and they don't last forever. When he goes up in front of the judge, that's just the dumbest shit ever. He just does a bunch of fucking rock and roll lines with his fucking coat on, his pea coat. Like, what are you doing? Get your shit together. This is absurd. And when that starts to happen, yeah, I think even you referenced it, Eric, the high goes down. So the high is over, and now we're in a low point because we're in jail. And by the time we get to the later part of the movie, I'm just like, this sucks. I don't give a fuck. And I know this is not fun anymore, but it's not. It would have been, it doesn't have to be fun. I would buy into it and be like, whoa, man, I care about these characters and I'm into it because they got me that far earlier. But as I stated earlier in the show, the lack of intent built into the script and more time building some of that out, fleshing it out a little bit more, would have done this movie wonders. I say, nay.
You're saying it does not hold up.
That is correct.
Okay. Just wasn't sure if you like.
I say this movie does not hold up.
Okay, all right. Making sure we were all on the same page here. Oh, am I on the same page as you guys?
Yeah.
So this movie was, it was in the zeitgeist. This is something that was very much, again, like posters were everywhere. That same fucking like white ass poster with them in white, Cruz and Depp in white. It was ubiquitous, and I watched a lot of it. But admittedly, I kind of like. So I wanted to always like this movie because I liked Ted Demme. I wanted to follow his career, and I did like this movie. But very quickly back in the day, I became really disenchanted with the enthusiasm that people had for this movie. So I thought it was okay when it came out. But then, like, I was just like, again, like the poster was fucking everywhere. And like some people were watching it on repeat who I'm friends with. And I could not understand how or why they would watch it on repeat. So like, I felt like it was just like really overhyped and overblown. So that kind of like prejudiced me against it a little bit. And so I kind of just came to feel like I didn't really like it. And so that was where I was standing when you announced it the other day, Eric, and that's why I was not enthusiastic, because I was like, oh fuck, I gotta watch Blow.
Yeah, I remember that.
and then when I sat down and watched it the other day, I was like, oh fuck, I gotta watch Blow. So I started watching Blow. I was like, then it was over. Like, well, I fucking watched Blow. So I mean, like, the movie starts, and like you're getting like these children, you know, are preparing, are like growing marijuana under like the threat of being murdered, right?
Yep.
That's it. Cocaine has ruined how many people's lives in the world, and there is no reference to the like these children, you know, rich people in America whose lives are ruined. Like we're supposed to care about the guy who brought the cocaine into America and how it ruined his life.
That's it. Exactly, Travis. Preach.
I've never understood this with Destin. I'm with Destin. Like, why did this movie get made? Why am I supposed to sympathize with this fucking character? He should be a footnote in some criminal justice course. I don't give a fuck about this guy. Never have. Doesn't hold up.
Yeah, I'd like to personally dedicate this episode to the thousands of people whose lives were torn apart by the terrible drugs that George Young helped bring into this country.
I'm gonna send it out to Ted Demme, because I still love the man and his work. I just think that this movie is way overblown, and you know, watch Monument Avenue. It's a way better movie.
Oh,
who's the man?
Yeah, dude, who's the man? I haven't seen that.
No Cure for Cancer. Dennis Leary produced this. I'm like, Christ, we got Ted Demme, Dennis Leary, and a Coke movie. We got like special thanks to Sam Kinison and Tom Arnold. Who else can we toss into this?
I mean, you know, we're talking about a bunch of guys in Hollywood, rock stars and musicians, you know, and actors and comedians all hanging out. They did cocaine. Big fucking shock. But like, I do kind of puzzle, like, if they're so like invested in all this cocaine, because I don't know that, like, I don't know. I know that Ted Demme died from a heart attack that was induced from too much cocaine and basketball in combination. Not a good idea. But like, I feel like he's torn, like he was torn in the making of this movie. Like, am I trying to celebrate this, or am I trying to show you how this ruins people's lives? Because it's just like this weird mix where he can't really seem to make up his mind if it's like, hey, is this cool, or hey, is this awful?
Travis, preach, man. I love your points. And as much as I don't like this character, the dealer is not necessarily the problem. It's the consumer for the most part, and there's a demand for that supply. And unless you curb that, this industry is not going away. So if there's
You're
a
never
movie
gonna
there,
do that.
whatever.
That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's not possible.
So, yeah, that's why the war on drugs is insane. So, hey, there's a whole different movie we made there, but you're dead now, Ted Demme. So it's not your fault. I don't blame you. One day we'll all be dead. But before that happens, we're going to do...
Wait, are you ending every podcast with this kind of note now?
Very morose.
Are you okay?
Wait, did I say this before?
Every fucking episode, dude. You make some comment about about the impermanence of life. Yeah, you did.
That's true.
Either you mentioned that God is fiction, or that we're all going to die every episode. I just wanted to point out to you if you were unaware that you're doing
incorrect.
I'm not saying I'm not saying if it's correct or if it's incorrect. I'm saying it's a fucking drag.
It's very morbid. We laughed our way through the Wedding Crashers podcast, only for you to end it with, "We might die tomorrow, guys."
It's true. That's why we gotta laugh. Cherish the laugh. If anything, you're supposed to cherish the laugh more.
I'm just worried about your mental health.
Someone hitting you.
My mental health's good. I'm just
wrestling
with the fact I feel pretty solid. I just wonder.
Existential? You're feeling existential?
How am I going to accept death? I got to work on that. It's on my board right here. It's my number one goal for this year.
Accept death?
So, yeah.
Can you tilt the camera so we can see your board so it shows us that you need to accept death?
Yeah. I don't know if you can read that, but it's on there.
Accept death.
It's in the red. Yeah.
Yeah.
Accept death, number one. So
Happy New Year. I am Mike, and I will accept death this year. All right.
There it is.
Well, you got some time, I hope.
I'll be remiss if I don't, it's not good to talk ill of the dead. Ted Demme did some interesting things in film. I think here his greatest challenge was giving literally telling Penelope Cruz how to say the lines in English, and then she would just repeat it like a parrot. Not an easy challenge.
Fair point. Ted Demme, we love you. Thank you for this movie. Even if we didn't make it hold up, people can still watch it. Right?
Yeah, Mike, hug yourself. Just every morning, wake up and hug yourself.
Just
kick off every day hugging yourself. And
show me that smile again.
Show me that smile.
Don't waste another.
All right. Well, we got to do next week's movie, which is now my selection.
It's your choice.
And I've got one that I basically locked in. I
Little
feel like
Reese
it's
Witherspoon to cheer up, Mike.
I wish. I feel like this is kind of wild, but for me, anyways. But I think I'm gonna go with it. We're gonna go do a movie that I think I enjoyed a lot, but I hadn't seen it in a while. But I didn't watch it religiously, but I watched it enough where I was like, wow, this movie's fascinating. It's wild, and stars Kevin Bacon. Oh, have we done a Kevin Bacon starring vehicle? I don't even know if we have, but
I don't think so.
we're going back to 1999.
There it is.
Oh, all right. Stir of Echoes?
Stir of Echoes.
Yes, we're doing Stir of
You're doing a
Echoes.
horror movie, Mike.
Stir of
Pick a
Echoes.
horror movie.
Is
That's
it?
really
I don't-
This is
exciting.
a
I don't
first.
see it. I don't see it that way. Okay,
It's a
well, we could.
supernatural thriller, maybe, but I mean, like, it has supernatural elements, right?
I'm picking
Stir of
this. Yeah,
Echoes,
Stir
man.
of Echoes. I thought
excited.
it was
I'm pumped.
interesting. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Wow. Yay! So it's not
right.
crazy.
I'm excited to see Kevin Bacon in his ever-present Social Distortion T-shirt that he wears. Like,
That's
every
right.
movie.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. And we're gonna get plenty of Kevin Dunn in this movie, so that's
Oh
fancy.
yeah.
Good times.
All
All
right.
right. Next week we're doing Stir of Echoes.
Stir of Echoes.
Woo. Written and directed by David Kep.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Kep.
Okay. Well, next week we'll be here live doing Stir of Echoes, and we're gonna have a great time. We'll talk about Ileana Douglas, and we'll talk about
Catherine
movies
Irving.
again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we'll talk about movies because that's what we do on the Cinema Night Pod. We welcome
is.
all
Death.
your feedback.
Talk about death and the
Yeah, we're gonna
morbidity
talk
of the
about
soul.
death. Or life is temporary. Have a
It
nice
is,
week,
I mean,
guys.
If any, I'm just trying to pump you guys up and enjoy every moment because we
You think
we're
will
that
still
pumps
here.
people up? Oof.
Yeah. Because if you
Wow.
realize you're gonna die,
Try doing
then
the
you
opposite.
cherish every moment. Like, wow, I gotta cherish this moment because I'm gonna be gone from this earth soon. Do you see that? You don't see the connection? How can you not see that? Wow. You guys should take a look at it. Think about it. It's actually a motivating factor to
We
live.
have no choice but to think about it every time we do a podcast with you.
Live. Damn right. Well, I'm
Mortality.
glad. Mortality. Let's live for today. Next week we'll be here live doing what we do, and after that, are we doing the listener's choice the week after?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's so get online if you haven't already and make your daily choice on Facebook. It's posted. We're picking the movie.
There it is.
Playing selection. So
Let It Ride is going to be the winner.
I hope
This
so.
is influencing the whose closet was this? Whose cupboard
this
was
was my closet.
I figured. Okay, cool. That's great. All right, well, we'll be here next week. Make sure you follow the show. Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts if you like. We had a lot of fun today. Thanks for the emails. Even though we don't want you to email us, those were really cool, and everyone's interaction. So I think that does it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye bye.